I remember they were calling airplane companies for sponsoring, and they were bluffing their way to get more sponsoring.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 1, 2, 3 Teamwork. Today, I'm super excited because I have my really dear friend Job with us. Job here with you in the Netherlands. Hey, Job, so awesome to have you here. Please
Yeah,
go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience.
thank you so much, Anne Jarko, for having me. My name is Job Schooyen. I live in the Netherlands, in Utrecht. I'm an architect. When I was in university, I found out that I am the ninth generation architect. So my father was an architect, my grandfather, and so on, which was confusing for me because I thought I had picked my own profession. And right now, I have my own architecture firm. I do projects in the world of pop music and villas mostly, and also I organizing 2 courses in the Technical University in Delft about building in extreme environments.
Oh my God, humble as ever, because you never brag about anything. But Job, I think our listeners should know that you built the best concert hall of Europe, maybe the best concert hall of the world. Dutch people know it as Ziggo Dome. It's close to Amsterdam Arena, and it's incredible. So I'm super proud to have someone like you with us, and we're going to talk about teamwork in the field of architecture and construction and building and everything. So super cool. Hey, let's start right away. Can you share with us an example of inspiring or memorable teamwork?
Yeah, I would like to pick one example, which is from our university. And the story is sort of as followed. I was organizing a new course. I emailed the United Nations in the Maldives saying we would like to work on a project on the Maldives about food. They have a food problem. More than 95% of the food on the Maldives is import. So I thought maybe we can do something with greenhouses. In the Netherlands, we have a lot of greenhouses to grow crops. And so they were really enthusiastic. So I told my students, there were 60 students, I told them, we have this really nice context. Maybe we can go there. I think 3 weeks later, we were in the Maldives.
3 weeks later, you were in the Maldives.
And this is really amazing that these students they are full of ambition. They really, the generation right now is really interesting because they really want to make a change in the world, and so they are highly motivated and very creative. So I remember they were calling airplane companies for sponsoring, and they were bluffing their way to get more sponsoring. So they called Turkish Airlines, and Turkish Airlines said, yeah, we will sponsor 30% of your tickets. And they said, well, no, KLM is already sponsoring 50%, which was completely untrue. And then they sponsored 60%. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was really, they are really good at things at which I am not so good. So I think that the team thing is that to find for everybody what they are good at. And trust them, huh?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Hey, Job, what do you find most challenging in working in teams? I know you've worked in many teams, like other architects, other disciplines in the construction industry, students, everything. Like, what do you find most challenging working in teams?
I think a team works best when you can trust everybody, huh? So and be confident in one another. So when is the moment if somebody doesn't say I cannot manage? When do you take action, huh? And in my field, architects tend to be control freaks, so that can lead to quite some frustration. And then the other thing is, I guess, related, which is. I like to tell my students that being insecure is a fundamental quality of architects, because we need to every 30 minutes or so think, what the hell am I doing? Should we not do something else? And things like that. And that helps the creativity, and it really helps to be sharp and critical about what you are doing. But now, when you are working towards a deadline, this can be, of course, not a healthy way of working. So I remember working in a team, and somebody saying at 3 o'clock at night before the deadline for the next day, maybe we should put the texts not under the images but inside the images in the layout. And I was sort of going like, what are you talking about? This is not going to be the winning idea. And it's a lot of work, and it's in the middle of the night. And it's so you have to be conscious about your insecurity.
That's awesome. And what is your I'm enjoying this so much. What's your secret ingredient to successful teamwork?
For me, it's motivation. I really noticed that my students they tell me afterwards that they think their course often was very memorable, the most memorable course. And maybe they do that because they like me. But I think it also has to do with sort of the passion you have. I tell my students, for example, the reason why the university exists and the reason why we are doing the project is not to produce drawings. It's to give students the opportunity to grow. And we do that by means of a project. But the project in itself is not interesting. Well, it is, of course, but it's not the point. The point is that people develop themselves. And I think that is maybe also interesting for companies to think about what is this company about. It's not only about, in architecture, there is so much focus on the design and on the building, whereas there should also be space for the development of the people who are working at the company. So
absolutely. The build environment has such a big effect on any of the processes and relationships that are happening within that building. I think that's what I'm going to be teaching a course on, Job. No, it's very interesting. But I love your perspective, because I know that like when you were designing Ziggo Dome long time ago, you were also already sort of reinventing the way architects work in teams with their, structural engineers, with their in Ziggo Dome's case with the audio engineers, and you were really involving them early on in the process, which, in business we're talking about agile way of working, cross-functional teams, but I feel that architecture in a way was quite ahead of that early on. And I've seen you being one of like the people who really spearheaded that, making sure that all that insights and knowledge is being included. So yeah, that I find very interesting, your view on that.
Well, that was an interesting one, because the Ziggo Dome is a building for amplified music, and it can hold 17,000 people, and it's really the biggest concert hall you can build with decent acoustic qualities. From the beginning, we had not only an architect and a structural engineer, for example, involved, but also acoustic experts and fire safety experts and so on. And because that is really, if you mess up the acoustics, or the fire safety, you can start all over again. And at the same time, you notice that the traditional way of working is that the architect says, this is the floor plan, and the fire safety advisor says, well, it doesn't work for this and this reason. And then the architect makes a new plan. So it's very, everybody is sort of within their own box.
Yes.
And so it's really, really, I really enjoy to make everybody a part of the process and also try to think outside of their box. I really remember distinctly that we were, so this is a pretty big building. We were having air conditioning units all through the building. And at one point, I asked the installations advisor, could we not put them all in one single room? And he said, oh, that's such a good idea, because it makes so much more sense for maintenance and so on. And I was, it doesn't really matter whether this is a good idea or not, but the thing is that he didn't propose it. And I was really insecure because I thought this is his profession. Huh? So maybe this is a really bad idea. So you have to sort of get over that you might ask a question which is obviously not a good idea. But maybe it's brilliant. Huh? So you should have a really open atmosphere where everything can be on the table.
Yeah. Oh, Job, I can talk for hours with you, but we're way over our time. So
Oh,
I'm
oops.
going to say thank you and
Yeah.
goodbye.
Oh, that's so nice. Talking to you.
Bye.
Yeah.